following on now directly from our previous video, which was entitled Chris, by a gentleman who made a statement against Aaron in New York. So as you can see this evening, I'm just going to quickly show you some issues in relation to another gentleman who made a statement against Aaron, and that is Anthony here. So the first thing I'm going to show you is that Anthony clearly should not have been in the United States of America at the time he made a statement against Aaron. Indeed, he should not be in the United States of America now. He was caught here in Ireland with a large amount of cash, with ammunition, a large amount of cocaine and some marijuana. And there was also shots fired into his house very shortly after Anthony left Ireland to go to the States. So here we have some official PNI information in relation to the issues with Anthony at the time he was arrested. So you can see here clearly he was caught with just over £300 worth of cannabis and almost £33,000 worth of cocaine. We also have, he was found with some ammunition, and important to mention here, he told detectives at the time of his arrest that he was holding the drugs for a gang in Dublin, which may be relevant as we move later on into our disclosures as regards the investigation in Aaron's case. And obviously the list you see here on my left is he was charged with possession of Class A, possession of Class B, possession of Class A controlled drugs, ammunition in suspicious circumstances. Further official documents shown here. Shots were fired into Anthony's house on the 10th of November 2014 as spent shotgun cartridges were located at the house. This was linked to drugs, however no person was convicted in relation to this. Now the reason I just want to highlight this, I think, is quite obvious. If someone is shooting into your house while you're in the United States of America, obviously Anthony was in no rush home. It's as simple as that. So it states there, the PSNI officer confirms that Anthony absconded and failed to answer police bail. Our legal team did pose some questions to the PSNI as there are ongoing investigations conducted by the PSNI in relation to Anthony. And as above, Anthony remains alerted in relation to the offences listed. And is Anthony wanted by the PSNI in relation to any criminal investigations? Are there any charges pending against Anthony in Northern Ireland? And again, the PSNI have said, as above, Anthony remains alerted in relation to the offences listed above. So obviously, Anthony was more than aware that he was due to answer these charges. Now, as I've done in the previous video with Chris, I'm just going to briefly just mention Anthony's statement that he did actually give to Garda Síochána. And the similarities between, I'll let you judge for yourself, between what Chris said and what Anthony said are very similar. The base of the statement is Anthony is in a bar in Woodlawns changing a cheque on St. Patrick's Day and he's drinking water. He hears some fellas beside him talking about, have you got what it takes to kill someone? And then he says he gets into an altercation with Aaron outside the pub. Now Anthony did give some brief details, mentioned a few names about different people who may or may not have seen the altercation, and he also mentions people whom he looked at the phone to identify Aaron in an under 14 photograph from a football team here in Crossmaglen. So Anthony's statement, as is Chris's, is absolutely riddled with lies and in many ways similarly nonsensical. And as we've mentioned the two statements, lo and behold, Anthony and Chris from the previous video we've just released are first cousins. So what are the chances of Aaron telling two gentlemen who are first cousins in a city, I think now, of nearly 10 million people? Aaron confided or spoke to these two men in relation to the murder of Garda Donoghue. So I'll let you draw your own conclusions from that. because both of these men lived in a close family circle, along with their work colleagues and their friends, a close family circle within New York. And we have to believe this. We have to believe this part of both gentlemen's story. They never told each other. They never told their family unit. They never told any of their partners. They never told their workmates. They never told any of their friends. And again, this has to be put into context, because from this map here, where these two gentlemen are from, Mike, just outside Newry in County Down, to Crossmaglen, it's actually less than 20 minutes. These young men would be frequenting back home here in Ireland the same discos in Dundalk, in Newry, the same bars, same clubs, same sort of group of people. So we're in a rural area. I know Newry is more urban, but generally speaking, we're in a rural area, and everyone knows everyone. And these two men want us to believe that they had spoken to Aaron Brady. Aaron Brady had said these words, and they never told anyone. And we know for a fact that both Anthony and Chris were friends with people from the Crossmaglen area. So again, your stories hold absolutely no water whatsoever. Now, on foot of that again, we see Chris and Anthony are first cousins. And I have told you we would link more of these people together. We have Chris and Anthony, and now we have Daniel Cahill. Daniel Cahill was close friends with Anthony, and he also knows Chris. So there's already a link, a chain being built here. Anthony was with Daniel Cahill the night Daniel Cahill, Anthony and two other men attacked Aaron in 28 First Street. This is something that Daniel Cahill denied vigorously. He denied it on the oath while he was given testimony. And when we had found out initially that Anthony had given a statement and given evidence against Aaron, and how his statement was built round, he's seen Aaron's picture in an under 14 football team. Aaron asked us to reach out to Daniel Cahill, for Daniel Cahill to confirm that Anthony knew Aaron, because Anthony was with Daniel Cahill the night Aaron was attacked in 28 First Street. Again, a lot of information, but I must point out, Anthony's statement was in the first book of evidence we received. Daniel Cahill, we didn't know he gave evidence until much later, I think until late August, just before the trial started. So at the point of contact, when we tried to contact Daniel Cahill, obviously we had no idea that Daniel Cahill had given evidence against Aaron. And to that end, we can show you here initial contact that my daughter Sonia made with Daniel Cahill. Again, I'll read this text out quickly. Hey Dano, Sonia Brady here. I am Aaron Brady's sister. Myself and my dad would really appreciate if you could chat to us for 5 minutes over the phone. We understand the problem this situation has caused many people, but I promise from the bottom of my heart, all the Bradys want is the truth. If it suits, we would be available to speak to you at any time that suits you. Kind regards, Sonia. So obviously there was no reply from Daniel Cahill at that point. And then we became aware that Daniel Cahill had also made a statement against Aaron. And at that point, we reached out to a third gentleman who was with Daniel Cahill and Anthony the night they attacked Aaron on 28 First Street. And please bear with me, I'm just going to read through 3 messages we sent to this gentleman. And here we have, I blanked out his name, we just have Aid up there. So, hey Aid, Sonia Brady here. I am Aaron's sister. I am sorry to be contacting you, but our family are being forced to seek the truth about a number of incidents. The incident we would like to ask you about took place at 28 First Street, just up from the Chase Bank on McLean. We know you and Aaron didn't get on, but we understand you know some of the fellas who went to Aaron's apartment that evening in March 2015, and you are aware of some of the incidents that took place later that evening, that night. that night. The whole episode of what took place that night is of no concern to us. Some of the fellas that were in Aaron's apartment that evening have come forward to the Garda, and as far as we are concerned, have told lies. For whatever reason, money, immunity from prosecution for misdemeanours in the USA and back home here in Ireland. We hope you can find it within yourself to ask the questions. Why would or should anyone tell blatant lies to convict a man of something he did not do? Why would the Garda ask or need people to tell blatant lies? Would you please consider speaking to a private detective we have working in New York, or a lawyer who is working in New York for us, or chat to our solicitors or barristers here in Ireland. The Brady family are only searching for the truth, nothing else. Again, sorry we had to make this contact, but please, all we want is the truth. Sonia. So on foot of that, we also want to show, excuse me, as I mentioned in the first video, we want to tie in obviously the witnesses in New York and the blatant lies, but also the false accusations of intimidation that has been placed against Aaron and against the Bradys. This is the total of the contact we had with these people. They're very simple texts asking to speak and to tell the truth. At no time have the Bradys or Aaron attempted to intimidate anyone. We had no need to. We did not intimidate Daniel Cahill. We did not intimidate Chris. And we did not intimidate Anthony, which is obvious to see here. But Anthony was intimidated. Anthony was intimidated by the authorities. And we know this because Anthony went to his lawyer in New York and requested his lawyer to send a letter to Garda Síochána, telling them that he no longer wanted anything more to do with the Brady case. And he said he was put under duress to make statements. So that letter came to light in the court, and we are saying that that letter was withheld from Aaron's defence, and only for the due diligence of two of our junior defence lawyers, defence counsel, it would never have been found. A vast majority of that letter had been redacted and put into a different file completely. And we say these two men here, Brendan Graham, Senior Counsel for the Prosecution, and Senior Investigating Officer, Mr. Mark Phillips, and indeed members of the DPP, must have conspired. And we say they purposely and illegally withheld their knowledge of Anthony's letter. We're looking at a man here, Brendan Graham, a Senior Counsel in Irish law. And he did take some responsibility for the letter. He said he made the decision that the letter wasn't relevant. And Judge White accepted that. And Judge White accepted this on the back of an American agent, Matt Katsky, running around offering inducements. Pat Marry being reprimanded for offering inducements on public radio and in the press in New York. On the foot of the evidence we had that Daniel Cahill had involvement with a certain group of people here in Ireland, and a lot of his testimony was questionable. So this gives us some idea of what we dealt with in the court. And it shows again, the Bradys did not intimidate anyone. The only intimidation done in this case was by the likes of this man here, Mr. Mark Phillips, and his cohorts. And that was allowed to happen by a man who's a senior counsel in Irish law. And it was accepted by Judge Michael White. And that is what we had to put up with in an Irish court of law. So finally, we will ask Commissioner Drew Harris once again. We want, the Brady family and Aaron want you, Drew Harris, to investigate the behaviour of Mark Phillips and Brendan Graham in relation to that letter. You have knowledge, obviously you have good knowledge with the PSNI in Northern Ireland. Can you explain to us, the Brady family, and explain to the Irish public how a gentleman who was found with drugs, ammunition and cash absconded from the Newry area, and how he was picked up by members of Garda Síochána to give statements against, and I have to say, a statement, Mr. Harris, I think if you read it, you will see yourself. It's a complete nonsense. It makes absolutely no sense. So once again, and we'll send the letter, and again we'll formally ask you to investigate what happened in this aspect of the case. So thank you again for watching. I hope it puts some context to the story. So we're looking to show what happened, the witnesses in America, how they were put under duress and forced to make false statements. We want to show you that the Brady family had no reason to intimidate any of these people. And we want to show that we are asking for this behaviour to be investigated. On Tuesday next, we'll continue in the same vein. I think another 3 or 4 videos like this. And again, we'll put it all together. We'll link the people who give statements together. And we'll do a little bit on Daniel Cahill on Tuesday night next week, I believe. Once again, thank you for watching. Please like, comment, share. Please send a letter or a text. Ask the authorities to investigate what happened. If the Bradys, if anything of what I have said here tonight is true, Aaron's conviction is totally unsafe. Thank you again for watching.